Hey guys, it's Danielle with Pure Root Wellness, and today we're going to just quickly talk over the topic of superfoods, what they are, how they can benefit you. So let's get into it. So, what is a superfood? I really hate to burst anybody's bubble, but the term superfood actually came as a marketing strategy. Come to find out, consumers were actually willing to pay more for foods that were perceived as super healthy. Unfortunately, there's not don't get me wrong, there are some foods out there that obviously hold a lot more nutrient dense properties than others. But in general, there's not a food that's considered super, in an essence. The good news is, if you are consuming some of these superfoods, in general, they obviously do hold a lot of health benefits. Um, you know, uh, to me, I like to joke that my dark chocolate holds a lot of antioxidant properties, and that's why I'm entitled to it very often. But which it does. But honestly, a good majority of the foods that are we'll discuss about basically do hold a lot of nutrient dense properties and some health benefits as well. Just so you know, though, we really shouldn't be focusing on a few specific foods that are only within this box and thinking that we're getting optimal nutrition. The reality is, whole plant based food diversity is really the key if you want to talk about superfoods in general. So, what gives some foods the superpower? Well, when we talk about foods that do hold a little more nutrient dense properties than others, we're really talking about the phytonutrients that are in some of these plants, fruits and vegetables and beans and other things of that nature. Phytonutrients really is the active substance that protects plants from pests, UV radiation, and disease. That's pretty cool. Like when you sit back and think about it, the plant itself has its own way to really protect itself against some of these environmental properties. So, each one of these plants can actually have thousands of different phytonutrients that provide protection from free radicals and actually contain natural antioxidants. So, pretty cool to think that a plant can actually, you know, hold on to these properties and have this protective measure in place, which ultimately gives the plant a fighting chance of survival and repair and restoration. So, kind of talking about the oxygen radical absorbance capacity, this is actually a score that helps to measure the type of antioxidant protection that a food can have. The higher the number, the greater of protection against free radicals. And let's just kind of step back and remember, talking about free radicals and antioxidants and how they all kind of fit. So, we breathe oxygen for our cells to produce ATP, or the energy molecule, right? This process creates a considerable amount of waste, known as free radicals. That's the waste that we talk about. These are harmful to the cell because eventually they attach to the cell structure, whether that be DNA, proteins, lipids, and ultimately they cause damage. Interestingly enough, as we age, some cells can actually have more than 50,000 different what we call lesions, hits, or wounds to the cell themselves, and ultimately lead to dysfunction, meaning they can't work right, or worst case scenario, possible tumor formation. That's where the antioxidants kind of come in, where this is a molecule that actually transforms the free radicals into harmless byproducts. So you can see the connection between the two and how eating these foods high in this ORAC scale or score can actually remove some of the damage or the hits or the lesions that happens, time after time after time as we age, and how that can actually benefit you from, a health standpoint. So, some foods that are deemed super. There's a list of fruit and vegetables here. Prunes, you're looking at about 5,700 units, ORAC units per 100 grams. Raisins, blueberries, all these really deep-seated, colorful fruits are typically going to hold a lot of, antioxidant properties and protection properties. Vegetables, you're always talking about the leafy greens, right? The kales, the spinach, the Brussels sprouts, the alfalfa sprouts. All of these vegetables are just have more bang for your buck. Ultimately, when you're talking about protection and antioxidant support. And just remember, scientifically speaking, there still is no official definition of a superfood other than to say that it's a food that offers high level of desirable nutrients linked to promoting personal health and wellness or preventing disease and sickness. And I think it's interesting, some of the newer kind of superfoods that consumers always talk about are the acai berry with lots of antioxidant power, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, has omega-3s, has fiber and minerals in it. Interestingly enough, freeze-dried acai berries have the highest activity against superoxide scavengers. So if you're going to get, acai berries, freeze-dried is actually the best. Broccoli sprouts are a huge one now, where there's a compound in it that helps your body actually arm itself against cancer. Like 3-day-old broccoli sprouts are usually the best as far as that goes. Pomegranate has always been a big one, helps to protect the heart, the arterial walls by improving blood flow to your heart and actually possibly reversing atherosclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries. One study found that drinking about 2 ounces, that's it, of pomegranate a day can reduce blood pressure and may have blood sugar lowering properties. So expensive, yes. Buying the pomegranate juice or even just buying the pomegranates themselves. If you like, to me, it's kind of almost therapeutic when you buy a pomegranate, you cut it in half and then you're trying to pick out all of these pomegranate seeds. If you don't like the taste of them just by themselves, sprinkle them on certain foods. I put them a lot on when I make, not stews, but rice bowls and things of that nature. I sprinkle a little bit on and it just gives your food that much more of a burst of flavor. And you're obviously getting a pretty beneficial health benefit, I should say, from the fruit itself. Nuts, seeds have all the polyphenols to stop inflammation, help control body weight, cholesterol, blood sugars, all good things. And, looking at beans, peas, soybeans really can also help blood glucose levels as well. So I'm always a visual learner. So for me, to make things stick in my brain, I like to group things by colors. And that's kind of what I did on this slide right here. Reds, they contain the carotenoids called lycopene. Heart and prostate health are always important. Orange is also carotenoids like beta carotene, heart and cancer prevention. Your purples and blue foods are, flavonoids. The blueberries, the blackberries, the raspberries, the grapes, the eggplants have 50 times more antioxidant activity than vitamin C or vitamin E, which is interesting, right? You think you pop a multivitamin, you're like, oh, I'm good, I'm great. But if you start chucking in blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, grapes, eggplants in your diet, you're already at 50 times more antioxidant activity just through eating legit whole foods themselves. So pretty cool. The blues and purples also help maintain skin elasticity, preventing wrinkles, spider veins, resveratrol in grape skins, seeds, grape juice, red wine. You're looking at cancer, preventing cancer progression, blood clots, good cholesterol, all the things, right? Yellow, you're looking at tendons, ligaments, cartilage support, allergies, inflammation. And then green, like we said before, it contains more phytonutrients than any other family of vegetables, really lowers the rate of cancer. And like I had said earlier, young broccoli sprouts, about 3 days old, are really the most potent when you're talking about the phytonutrients and the antioxidant properties alone. And then don't forget about your whites, your onions, your garlics, your apples. I threw black tea in there, right? Kind of the only place to throw it. Huge anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, antiviral. And then the green teas are the polyphenols as well, can actually help repair damaged DNA. This is why they say these foods are good. This is why, they look at each individual one of these foods and determine the properties of each and realize that literally eating them in its most raw form is what's truly going to give you your most bang for your buck. And again, no shocker there, right? We all kind of know that. It's just sometimes tough to do. So the take home, eat the rainbow. This rainbow looks delicious. Yes. This is not the rainbow I'm talking about though. When you're trying to help somebody sit there and go, well, how can I eat better? How can I eat better? This is all I say. Two things, right? Plant diversity, whole food, plant-based diversity, 90% whole plant-based on the plate, the other 10% whatever ails you, whatever you need. But eating the rainbow is the other thing that's just, it's easy, right? It's easy to say. If you can find foods every single day that have the entire colors of the rainbow in it, I can guarantee you, you won't fail. You think of fast food, right? Like what foods are like brown, and you look at like French fries. Again, I love French fries, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing French fries, but once every week or 2 weeks or something, and try and make your own fries, but like brown, right? Or you're like, oh, it's kind of like a beige color. Look at the food you're eating. Literally look at it and see. And if you're not eating the rainbow, you ain't doing it right. Okay? That's really the best advice I can give you. This is where superfoods come in. I hope this was helpful. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, zip it in the bottom under comments. I hope you all are well and be well. Here are some references, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.